Okay, so far we've been mostly looking at theoretical examples of how to use the custom code and some methods you can use. Let's now go to a real-life example. So let's go back to our element connections app. And so within our element connections, if we select some stuff, so our destination element, okay, remote saved number, so we have here our include element state checkbox. You see right now it's checked. I can uncheck it. I can check it again. Let's assume that we want to uncheck this checkbox. If we have a fresh new system like we have here, we can assume that whenever we add a new connection, it will be checked, but that will not always be the case. Suppose you're running your test on some existing system. You may want to validate that this checkbox is checked or unchecked first before you click it to actually change the state. So let's see what we can do about that. First thing I'll do is track that checkbox. Okay, so I have my checkbox within my tree view item here. In the element connections overview, let's take a look in our repository. So within our element connections app, yeah, so the element state checkbox is already there, so I don't need to add it. What I will add is a new user code method to enable and disable it. So in fact, I'll add two. So I'll go into my user code collection, right click, insert new user code methods. So enable checkbox. Okay, and the second one, disable checkbox. Okay, so both my methods will be pretty similar. First thing I'll do is I'll add a repo item info. Let's take a quick peek. It's called state checkbox. I'm just going to call it state checkbox info so I can distinguish between the info item and the element later on. Do the same thing for my disable method. Okay, so then first thing I'll do is I'll create an element that finds that checkbox. going to use the host current find single and then date checkbox info absolute path. Okay, I'm not going to add an additional timeout here or a specific timeout. I'll just use the timeout from the repository. Okay, and then I can check if my state checkbox, I don't have my item here, so I'm going to cast this to a checkbox. Okay, so then I also have to change my type here, and then I should have the is checked, or yeah, checked state, so that's a boolean. So I can go like if statebox so is not checked, I'm going to click it. Okay, and so the click action on my state checkbox should then change the status from not checked to checked. We're gonna do mostly the same thing in the disabled checkbox, but we will reverse the check. So if it's already checked, I will click it, and if it's not checked, this piece of code will not be executed and the method will just return. Leave it as it is, it's already disabled. What we could do is add some additional logging so that we can see in our report what our code is doing. So, okay, that's okay, so I'm going to inform my user through the report that the checkbox was not checked, and I will perform a click action to enable it. Perhaps I can also add in the name. Okay, and so I'll add an else clause to also inform my user that it's already checked. Okay, let's do the same thing for our disable checkbox. Okay, code alignment in Ranorex Studio is a bit less automatic than in Visual Studio, so you have to adjust a bit yourself here and there. Okay, small typo here. So just in my logging to say we will not click the checkbox to disable it because it is already disabled or unchecked. And that's it basically. So that's our code that will first check the state and then click the checkbox if needed. Let's try out how this works. So we have here our exclude element state and include element state, and we're already using some user code here, but let's replace it by the ones we've just created. So there's still a coding issue here because I can only see my method 1 at the moment. So let's cancel and take a look in code here. Okay, let's try and compile. Let's see if we get any errors. Okay, missing a semicolon here. Yeah, I need to remove this bit of this line. And I'll need to remove this one too. And then it should be okay. Okay, so I don't have a checkbox name. I need to use the checkbox info for this. That should work. Oh yeah, these need to be find single. And this one should also be a find single. Okay, so previously I've made a bit of a mistake here. I've created a user code collection one in my project, so in the element connections. And I've also created one in the cube library, and that's causing, yeah, the duplication is causing issues with finding the right modules. So if I change name and recompile again, yeah, so the class is also been renamed. So now if from my recording I go to my user code and select from library, I have user code collection 2 here. My exclude element in state is coming from data miner cube. So what I need to do to be able to access my methods from my user code collection within the project is add a new recording to my project. I'm going to call it enable state icon or toggle state icon. Okay, so now I should have access to my custom methods. Okay, so I can add disable and enable checkbox. Okay, and so going into my cube workspace, I can drag in the element state checkbox. Okay, so we've created our two methods, enable checkbox and disable checkbox. Now let's take a look at how we will use these. So I'll create two new recordings. In my element connections project, first one I'm going to name include element connection. State, I think that's the name. Yeah, so include element state. Okay, create it. And then the second one is exclude element state. Okay, create this one. So in my include element state, I will enable the checkbox. So I'm going to my user code, select from library. And use the enable checkbox recording, confirm my selection. And as you can see, I still have to add an item. So I'm going to my cube workspace, the card container apps, element connections app. And from the parameter tree item, I can select the element state box and drag it in there. Okay, let's do the same for the exclude. So I want to add my user code. To the disable, find the disable checkbox function. Okay, and again go into my apps, element connections, and the state checkbox. Okay, so that's it. I can now add my recordings into my test. So after one is selected, I can enable and disable it, or exclude and include it. Okay, I have to still assign a variable. So which one do I need? The connection parameter name. Okay, do this for both, and then okay. So that's it. We have created our custom element code, added it into a recording, bound it to the correct variables, and now it will run whenever we run our tests.